It's always fun to pick the brain of Ed Lane, Southside Sports Media. You can hear him on the call tonight from Bassett as the Tunstall Trojans make the trip down to Bassett. But Ed talks Piedmont District football with us every week here on the Sports Buffet podcast, and we appreciate his time. Something you can never get back, folks. You can give away money and get money back, but you can't get time back, and Ed spends a lot of time with us on Fridays. We talk Piedmont football. Ed Lane, Southside Sports Media. Find him on Facebook at Edward Lane on the Sports Buffet podcast.
I'll tell you what, if I'm ever feeling blue or need to pick me up, I just call Ed Lane. He's the host down with the most right there with Southside Sports Media. You can hear him weekdays on his show. Also, you can hear him on Friday nights with a great high school football game. And Ed, let's start it there because tonight it's a Piedmont District battle, and I know you're covering it with Tunstall and Bassett. Let's go first. We'll look at the game. What are your expectations of tonight's affair in Bassett?
I think wide open. Nothing would surprise me. I always like to play the if this were Vegas game, although obviously betting on high school football, I think if you're doing that, you probably need to. You should not go to Vegas. You probably have, perhaps you go to some counseling if that's where you are in life. But nonetheless, I would put it's about as close to an even matched contest as I would say, but based on what we've seen this year, I give a slight edge to Tunstall. They're on the road. It's Bassett's homecoming. There are distractions that come with that, but there's a Bassett team that for 1-5, Coach Jay Gilbert has constantly stressed. The motivation's been there. The excitement around this program has remained the same, despite the fact that they're without quarterback Mackenzie Lawson, who has a bruised spleen. Also, they've got a couple of other game time decisions tonight. All the adversity in the mode around the team still seems to be high. So, with that being said, Bassett's been in a lot of ball games. I think you have to clearly think there's a chance they could win, but Tunstall's been nothing short of very impressive this year. They nearly knocked off Gretna. They were 8 points away from being tied against Rushburg and having a chance to win that contest. And they've had some surprise wins, including last week off of an odd double bye, really blowing right by Stanton River. I think you've got a really good team in Tunstall that's coming in at a time where they're looking for motivation. I think it's about as close to an open ball game as possible. Maybe a slight edge to Tunstall, but not by much.
Yeah, you mentioned if you're betting on high school sports, you probably need counseling. I hate to speak for Ed, but if you're on the south side, call Ed. If you're in Central Virginia, call me. We'll get you some help.
Thank you. I appreciate the assistance.
I try to get one public service announcement in each week, so I've met my quota for this week. Give me a key for Tunstall and Bassett to where if they do this, you would worry about them getting a win, if that makes sense.
If Tunstall's able to be multifaceted offensively, they've run the ball very physically and well. It's a Bassett team that has some size up front, but they've been hit and miss, I guess, literally speaking, on tackles, and they've been worn down over the game. If you can make this a one-dimensional offense and really limit Tunstall's speed outside with Peyton Ferrier and Evan Huffman, and Bassett has the athletes to be able to try and limit what they can do, I think Tunstall could be in trouble. I think Bassett's in trouble if they're unable to establish some consistency on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense has given up a high volume of yards, but if you look at over the last couple of weeks, the majority of the time when they've given up 150-plus yards on the ground, a lot of the time the scores have come in the second half. That's due often to an offense that has not put points on the board and has not been consistent. I know with Mackenzie Lawson out tonight, it is a concern. He had been throwing the ball well, but Deshaun Valentine's the backup QB and started for them a lot last year. I think you can still expect some consistency for Bassett right now, and I think that's what I really worry about if I'm a Bassett fan, a lack of offensive consistency.
Magna Vista really survived one last week against Halifax County in a non-district game. Tonight they host Patrick County. Was last week maybe a case of where Magna Vista, you could argue, kind of got scared straight back into, if they were reading their own press clippings, they needed to stop?
Yeah, I think so. They're a young team. I think team chemistry-wise, there seems to be a good level of it there. There's a lot of juniors. Plenty of these guys have come up. They've got a great leader in running back Keon Maben and Kalen Jameson stepping up, but this is their first time dealing with success, and the first time they really had success that could be measured and taken seriously was that victory 2 Fridays ago in Ridgeway against Pulaski. who's a very good ball club. And after a win like that, it's the first time you've experienced that. People are telling you, wow, you're a really good team. You can go to your head. They started slow. Halifax had homecoming. They had a great running game, especially early on. They had to really scrap and claw. Magna Vista showed me something positive, that they could find a way to win a game when they didn't bring their A game for the entire contest. But they also showed me something else, and that is you still have to remember that it's great to feel confident that you're good, but you have to block out some of those outside distractions.
Patrick County, they're really, really looking up at the mountain. The mountain's probably got to look high just because they haven't put one on the left side in quite some time. Give me, though, where the glass can be half full for Patrick County.
Well, yeah, I hate to say it because the first half they've been blown away, but I would say the second half of ball games. Last week they gave up 30 points in the first quarter and 14 in the second. I know you have a running clock after halftime, but they finally started to play pretty evenly. I mean, it was a 0-0 ball game to count the second half, and for most programs you don't take that as a positive. For a program that had lost 21 in a row entering this season, just confidence totally shot, really. They've done that quite some time. They were down early big to Stanton River, to Floyd as well, yet they found a way to score some touchdowns late in ball games. I think the big thing for Patrick County is believing in themselves and not being, I can't believe I'm bringing in the movie Basketball into our high school football chat, Bob, but they need to avoid the psych out right now. I think for them, they come into ball games and you play teams like Stanton River. You have a schedule that also includes Magna Vista, obviously, at Open District play, and Floyd County, teams that are respected programs. It's easy to fall victim to the psych out, and it really shows early in ball games because you're almost awestruck. For them, play their game, focus on what they do, and you'll at least be in some of these ball games in the first and second quarters, and you can take that and build on it going forward.
If you had quoted Ladybugs, I would have been very concerned right there, but we'll let the basketball reference go. And before we get to Heritage in Martinsville, Patrick County, this is probably not the most positive thing I'm ever going to say, but we'll just have to go with it. You mentioned they're playing better in the second half of games, but when they're playing better in the second half of games against Stanton River or Floyd County or whoever else, those guys probably have second to third stringers, if not JV guys, in there. If you're Patrick County, does it not matter who's in there? If you're moving the ball or getting points, that's going to build confidence, or do you have to build confidence against top-notch high school athletes?
I think you have to lay that as a foundation and eventually take that over. It can't be your long-term expectation, and Kenny Perry understands that, but he took over late in the hiring process. Back in late April, early May is when he finally was able to get a hold of this program. That's missing a lot of valuable off-season workout time, especially with the VHSL over the off-season expanding the rules. Right now, you're looking for anything positive that you can take and preach to your team, get them to buy in, because you're laying the foundation right now for something that you can take with you into the off-season that will motivate guys to start working out once Thanksgiving passes, once you start getting ready for Christmas break, and into the new calendar year of 2013, assuming that we make it past the apocalyptic day of 12/21, that we can look forward to for that, Bob. I think right now that's what you're looking for, and I think not even so much the JV part or second and third stringers. Sure, you get some of those guys in the fourth quarter, but a lot of coaches do want their starters in there at least after halftime and into the third quarter, so that they continue to have that focus of halftime adjustments. Even if you've been up 30, 45 nothing at halftime, coaches still want to fine-tune. I think every coach is wired that way. For Patrick County, you have to take something that you can build upon and realize that should not be your ultimate goal, but rather laying the foundation for what is your ultimate goal, competitive for four full quarters and actually winning.
I do have you penciled down for an interview on December 22nd, though, so I don't want the apocalypse to be used as an excuse.
I'm honored, Bob. Good. Thank you.
Final thing for you, Ed, as always, I love talking to you. Martinsville at Heritage, we both know Heritage is pretty good. Martinsville is in one of these rare situations to where Piedmont District play has started, but I believe them, Tunstall, and Patrick County all have at least a non-district game left to go with the schedule. If you're Martinsville, do you approach this game any different now that you're kind of getting into Piedmont District play, even though you're stepping outside the league?
No, I mean, for Martinsville right now, it is they were up late second quarter against Carroll County. A couple of bad plays. They gave up big plays, including turnovers, and they find themselves down 20-16 at halftime, and mentally they were just shot right there. I think for Martinsville, you have to find a way to generate something early in this contest, whether it's a good hold on Javante Presley, a very good quarterback, Javante Parrish, for Heritage. Hold the offense at some point in the first quarter and turn that into a touchdown. Create a special teams play as well. You have to find ways to create the spark right now, because I clearly don't think that it's there right now for them. I don't think it's necessarily a lack of in-game effort, but sometimes you need that extra spark that gives you the confidence. And I think it's fairly safe to say that at 0-5, for most teams, that often is lacking.
And for some of these teams that are struggling, like Martinsville and Patrick County and so forth, and they play next week, by the way, but it's almost where try to make a game within a game, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, you have to find things on which you can focus. I think for Patrick County, it's quarter by quarter. You've won 2 quarters. The last couple of weeks, you kept even in the second half, so it's 0-0 and 0-0 for you. That's close to a win. Now, can you do it for 3 quarters? Can you do it for 4 quarters? I think that's the next step. He's trying to find ways to win quarters, and I think especially for Martinsville, winning the first quarter is crucial, because if they're down 21-0 against Heritage after 1, I think you could see a team that's more likely to check out. If it's 14-7 or if it's a close ball game, they might have some confidence, and that's the point where you can realize, all right, we found a way to hang around. Now we're in this thing. For Martinsville, similarly, you got to play that game within a game, so you don't focus on the win-loss record and all the other stuff over which you can't directly control and totally rectify in one game.
As always, a pleasure, Mr. Lane. Before I let you go, plug your upcoming events and your show, if you would, please.
Always love the self-promotion opportunities. It makes me with the long hair feel like Don King, Bob. But in reality, clearly I don't have the frizzy hair and obscure boxing practices. But we do bring you high school football every Friday at 5 p.m. AllDaysByNelson.com tailgate show, fueled and fed by Steve's Easy Marathon and Deli. Get you set for Bassett and Tunstall from Bassett tonight. Tunstall at Bassett. And, of course, Edward Lane on Facebook and Southside Sports Media on Facebook and Twitter for game, score, and observations of the contest tonight.
Always fun, Ed. We'll do it again next week.
Bob, always a pleasure. Thank you.